Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
My parents have vast properties and own multiple lands in both the city and the countryside. They have inherited a lot from my grandparents and have also earned very much, and so enjoy a very lavish lifestyle. I am their only son, and this becomes very hectic, as they expect a lot from me and wish to see me having the best. My mom is very conscious about everything regarding me since my childhood. She enrolled me in one of the best schools and then went to ask about my progress now and then. She would even counsel me on what type of friends I should have and what type to avoid. She never missed a chance to school me on every little detail of my life. I was sent to one of the most expensive universities, was regularly sent a good amount of money, and my parents looked after every minute of my life. I was a very pampered kid, but this also bothered me so much. I always had this pressure of bringing the best grades, hanging out with the right type of friends, and always behaving in a certain way. My mom has been way too controlling forever and wants everything to be perfect and just according to her. On the other hand, my dad is a very jolly, jovial, cheerful person. He has never directed me and expected anything from me which was not in my control. He appreciated every little progress of mine, respected my choices, and would often fight by my side against my mom's dictatorship. My dad has a very great relationship, and we are close to each other. He listens to me, understands me, and encourages me. I married the love of my life, with whom I fell in love at the university. She was a very bright student, studying on scholarship, and is a very well-natured woman. The only problem, which was not exactly a problem, was that she belonged to a middle-class family, and this made me reluctant to make a decision. I knew my mom would never approve of this. I took a lot of time, gathered courage, and told myself that this was my life, and I was the one to take this big decision, as it will shape my whole life. So I went to my dad first and told him the whole situation. He was quite happy and promised me that he was going to support me through this. I took my dad to see my girlfriend, and he instantly got impressed. But he was a little bit nervous to discuss this with my mom. A few days passed, and my dad decided to break this news to my mom. And, as expected, she was very shocked and furious. She said that I could not make this decision alone, as this was a matter for the whole family. She also said that I and my dad conspired against her. It was very difficult to handle her, but my dad somehow managed her approval. She was visibly unhappy through the whole wedding, and would sort of scold me whenever she got a chance. She told me that my fiancé was uncultured, did not have basic manners, and did not match our class. It broke my heart, but at least I was marrying her, and thought that I would handle the things with time. I got married and had to move in with my parents along with my wife, as this was my mom's order. We, as a couple, faced so much trouble. My mom would burst out at my wife for the slightest mistakes and make her feel the lowest. So many times my mom degraded her, talked about her background, and said that she had bewitched her son. It was very depressing, so I had to take a stand and move out with my wife, which fueled my mom's anger. She was furious and could not leave us alone. My dad tried his best to handle her, but she was just out of control. She would call me to tell me that my wife had broken their family and that she was ill-fated and brought bad luck to us. My mom is still not over this incident, and I am not ready to go back, as I have had enough of this dictatorship. AITA? My mom still does not talk to me like she did before, but keeps a check on me. She calls me now and then, asks if I am a regular with my office, if I am doing well, but never asks about my wife. My wife feels a bit depressed, but I have assured her that I am with her and nothing else should matter. My mom called me recently and asked her random questions, and then suddenly asked what I have planned about starting a family. I hesitantly told her that whenever we got such news, we would inform her first. She said that she wanted such news as soon as possible. I was a bit surprised and asked her what it was about. She said that the only expectation she had from my wife is of having a grandchild from her, as she can do nothing else for the family. I told her that she was not a birth machine, and whenever we would get a piece of news, we would inform her. I talked to my father about this and told him everything in detail. I told him that we wanted to take our time and were not in any kind of rush, so my mom better not put any pressure. My dad said that he would talk to my mom and also that we should not take any sort of pressure. I was relieved a bit, but could not believe my mom. She is not giving up on controlling my life. She has always dictated every single move of my life forever. And now, when I have taken a stand for myself and just got to live a life of my own, she is still not ready to agree with it. She always wanted to choose a life partner for me, but as I deprived her of this choice, she cannot digest the existence of my wife and wanted to create problems for both of us. I am not taking any sort of pressure, as all she can do now is rant and vent. My mom called me recently and exploded on me. She cursed me for discussing this matter with my father and told me that I was crossing my boundaries. She said that she was just asking for grandchildren and there was nothing wrong with it. According to her, we have everything we can dream of, enjoy a lavish lifestyle, then what is stopping us from starting a family? I told her that it depends on us and she cannot decide whether we should have kids or wait or how many kids we should have. I told her clearly that she is supposed to stay out of this and never try again to intervene in our privacy. She yelled that she was the one who took care of everything I ever needed, made me grow into a gentleman, and now I am bashing her with such words? She said that it was unbearable to see how my wife had changed me and turned me against my family. I told her that it has nothing to do with my wife, as this was me who was done with her bullshit and now wanted a peaceful life. She threatened me that she might take steps that would ruin me, and I should not push her to do so. I told her to do whatever suited her and cut the call. My mom did not want me to involve my dad in this matter, as she was just playing with my peace of mind and building pressure which I was done taking. I do not know what she is up to, but one thing is clear. She cannot see my wife in my life and wants to get rid of her as soon as possible. My mom called me today saying that I should start worrying about starting a family or it will end up bad. I said that I have already told her to stay out of it and why she cannot just forget about it. On this, she told me that she has decided that she will deprive me of their, my parents, huge will. She also said that I will have to leave the house I'm currently residing in as it belongs to them, and also give up on their office and find a job. She told me that I will have to face severe consequences if I did not take her seriously. I was instantly depressed and speechless. I told her that she could not do this as the property did not belong to her only, and my dad has equal shares. She told me that my dad was also on her side and stood by her decision. I was shocked by my bones. I told her that it was impossible as my dad could never be that heartless, and he never had a problem with my marriage. She told me that I better start worrying about starting a family and providing her grandchildren, or else I will get homeless and jobless with no will or inheritance. I still cannot believe her. How can she do this to her only son? Why would dad support her? My dad is currently out of the country, and I will go and meet him as soon as he returns, as the situation is at its worst. Here is an update, guys. My dad returned 5 days later, and I went to see him as soon as possible. As I did not want my mom to interfere, I went to his office to see him. I told him every little detail of whatever my mom told me and also asked how he could support her in this injustice. He was as shocked as I was and told me that it was all nonsense and my mom did not even talk about this to my father. My sadness also assured me that no one could deprive me of the will and I was entitled to everything they had. He said that we both should go and confront my mum right away, so we went straight to her house from the office. My mum was surprised to see us both together and asked if everything was all right. My dad asked about her frets, in which she said that she only wanted to put an impact as I was not taking her seriously. My dad exploded on her and asked her to stay within limits as she was going a bit too far. A serious fight broke out between them, and my dad told her that if she ever again tried to ruin my life, she would be left with a divorce and the share of property she owned. She was stunned and then went to her room crying. My dad told me that I should not worry, as he will handle everything and would never leave my side. I am so relieved, as things were unbearable now. NTA, you took a stand for yourself as well as for your wife, and that is pretty amazing. You did not leave your wife to suffer your mom's bullying and moved out, which was a huge step. The OP should have taken the stand a long time ago, but maybe he was used to getting directions as he was raised that way, so he never felt a need for it. At least he took a stand for his marriage and did not let his mother choose his life partner, as it would have worse consequences. He was intelligent to involve his dad in every matter, as his mom was just not understanding and could only be handled by his dad. The way he was all set to do everything for the sake of his and his wife's peace is commendable. I hope he does not get to see more of such drama and enjoys a peaceful life.
Next story.
My husband and I recently finished renovating our home. While mainly superficial, we completely redid our kitchen. To celebrate this, I planned a housewarming girls' night for dinner party with 4 friends. A few days before, one friend, Jan, let me know she wasn't feeling too well. She had taken rapid tests and was going to get a proper one done as well, but she gave me a heads up just in case. The morning of, she let me know every test was negative and she'd be coming along. I told her at every interaction that if she wasn't feeling well, there was no pressure for her to come, focus on getting better, etc. She assured me she was fine and was excited for the night. I spent the whole day preparing, cleaning, and cooking, and everyone arrived as planned. From the get-go, Jan was sighing constantly, rubbing her forehead, etc. Jan didn't feel like doing a house tour, and the others said we could do it later. So we sat down and I brought out the first dish. I like to cook and made a 7-course meal that I was super proud of. Jan only took 3 bites before just pushing the food around, still sighing, hunched, and leaning on her hand. It was slightly awkward, as we were constantly asking her if she was okay. And Jan wasn't participating in the conversation and shrugging if we tried to include her. Before the 3rd course, I asked if Jan wanted any, as she wasn't eating much of the food I'd already served. It felt wasteful since I'd have to throw it out. She insisted, so I brought it out, and again she took 2 bites. Still sighing and rubbing her forehead, a friend asked if she wanted to lie down, and that she looked rough. Jan snapped and asked why we were all badgering her, and she seemed fine. So we all eased back and just continued eating. Overall, the night wasn't pleasant, and all the other girls reassured me after Jan left, she was the first, that the night and food was great. And we arranged a redo to celebrate me and my husband buying and renovating our home. I ran into Jan a week later, and she seemed back to normal. I asked if she enjoyed the dinner party, and she made a joke about how I'd lost my hostess sparkle and went on and on about my house. It drove her crazy. That peeved me, and I told her that she didn't seem well, and it influenced the night since she didn't seem to be receptive to any of my hostess attempts. And the whole point was a housewarming dinner party with my friends. She then said, I had the best cheeseburger afterwards. They always taste better late at night, huh? This is where I wasn't nice, because I said, maybe you shouldn't have come then if it wasn't up to your standards. You're actually standing here talking about eating cheeseburgers the same night you ate 2 bites of the meal I cooked and wasted all that food that I spent all day cooking? If you were as sick as you seemed that night, you shouldn't come, since it ruined the night. She got peed and then told me it wasn't all about me. I was a bad friend and an attention-seeking person who can't stand anyone else being the focus of the night.
Next story.
I, 24, female, am a person whose sense of humor is very blunt, sarcastic, with my close friends. Definitely not with anyone else. Though people who don't know the dynamic of our friend group could perceive it as being rude and not just sarcastic. Recently, a new girlfriend, L, 20, of one of the guys, D, 25, started hanging out with the group, and she is a brutally honest, tell-it-like-it-is person who thinks it's cool to talk to people she doesn't know that way because we do it with each other. I disliked her immediately because she seemed incredibly fake, but I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt because though she's an adult, she's younger than us, about 4 years, and I assumed she was trying to act big because of the insecurity. It got really inappropriate really fast. By the fourth time I'd met her, only 6 weeks since we met and 4 weeks since she was dating D, she was acting clingy to me like we were best friends, but at the same time making things up about me and talking behind my back to all my friends. Funny how the brutally honest people are always the ones bullshitting. The confrontation was outside when she was smoking with D and my husband. I walked up to say hi and chat. Unprovoked, she started giving me shit and roasting me for coming late to the party. And I said something along the lines of, "That's what happens when you have work, a kid, and things to do." And she made some smart-ass rude comment about how I don't prioritize well, and she was getting on my last nerve, so I straight up said to her, "You're a rich kid who's never had a job or any responsibility, so I guess you wouldn't understand." And she had the audacity to say to me, "At least I'm not a teen mom like you." Excuse me? I am not a teen mom. I was 23 and engaged when my planned 1-year-old child was born, and I wasn't married yet because my wedding was scheduled for March 2020. But that's beside the point, because if I was a teen mom, who says that like it's an insult? She then doubled and tripled down, saying, "Well, were you married before or after your baby was born? And is your marriage even really valid?" Because I was married by a friend, not in a church or city hall. I had enough and told her she was disrespectful and to stop pretending she was an adult and watch who she's talking to like that. She was shocked, but I wasn't that fazed, as what I said felt justified. I continued socializing till my cigarette was done. She then ran off and cried in a bedroom the rest of the 4+ hours that the party was going on while her boyfriend apologized on her behalf and talked it out with me. No one felt bad for her. Everyone laughed at her audacity and the party continued. The conflict ceased, but I'll be seeing her at the end of the month, and she said I'm an asshole for calling her names and not caring that she cried. So for the sake of my peace, if she tries to start something with me again, AITIA,